that the leader of Hamas is dead. Jose.
And I mean, Richard, this was definitely on the Israelis' top as far as who they want to target. Talk to us about who Sinwar is or was and his significance.
So, Yahya Sinwar is believed to be the mastermind of the October 7th attacks, and Israel vowed to kill him. In many ways, this was a personal and has always been a personal fight between Netanyahu, the people of Israel, Hamas, and Yahya Sinwar. And the numerous attempts to reach a ceasefire, according to negotiators I speak with directly, is because of the intransigence of Sinwar and Netanyahu. So if it is, in fact, confirmed that he was killed, there are maybe reports that he was killed in a gunfight in southern Gaza in the city of Rafah, if that is, in fact, true, it could potentially be an opening because he would have to be replaced. The Hamas leadership is in a state of disarray. His replacement could be someone who's more amenable toward cease talks, or it could provide Prime Minister Netanyahu with an opportunity to soften his stance and pull back somewhat. That has not been what Israel has been doing in the last several weeks. They've been pushing hard in Gaza. They've been pushing hard in Lebanon. But as we saw in Lebanon, by decapitating the leadership, Israel was able to knock Hezbollah down several notches. That could also be the case with the death of Sinwar for Hamas and for Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, just thinking this would be such a significant strike, not only to Hamas, but to the Middle East region as a whole. Sinwar was the #1 target by Israel in so many ways. Chris, what's the significance and what's the message?
Well, I think the significance can't be, overstated. I think both Aaron and Richard touched on it. Sinwar was the leader of Hamas for a long time now, and showed their strength and commitment to their nationalistic cause, and the mastermind of October 7th. So the significance is this gives Israel a real victory here, and between this and the taking out of Hassan Nasrallah and Ismail Haniyeh and the pager attack, it puts them in a position of strength to negotiate now more effectively. It also puts a new spin on their victimization from last year on October 7th. They're now in a position of strength. So it really changes the dynamic of them being victims of terrorism and them being the hunters now. And perhaps it will, soften the stance of Prime Minister Netanyahu and, maybe be a little more amenable to some kind of negotiated truce. Because they're negotiating from a position of strength at this point.
I mean, Aaron, how is this playing in Israel today?
Jose, I have been texting and speaking with family members of former hostages as well as family members of hostages still inside of Gaza. I was texting with Thomas Hand. His 9-year-old daughter, Emily, had been kidnapped from her kibbutz on October 7th, brought to Gaza, and then was released as part of the first hostage deal. Let me just read you what he had to say over text about this development. He says, quote, "I hope that his personal reign of terror has ended. I know that they will have many more to fill his shoes. I hope that this heavy blow to their command structure will help bring an end to this terrible war. Perhaps they will feel weakened enough to come to the table and finally make a serious deal to end this war." I was also speaking with Rita Lifshitz. Her father-in-law, 84-year-old Oded Lifshitz, was kidnapped and taken into Gaza, still thought to be there. She was telling me she's extremely concerned. She is worried about her father-in-law and the possibility that Hamas could seek revenge with the hostages, the 101 hostages still thought to be in Gaza right now. Jose.
And Richard, I just keep thinking about this, your deep, profound knowledge of the region and of the organizations and of the players that have had an impact on this for so many years. What are you thinking right now if Sinwar is indeed dead?
Maybe it's a chance to de-escalate We will see. Leaders do matter in organizations. Leaders mattered, as we've seen in Hezbollah with the death of Nasrallah. It dealt a serious blow to the organization. Sinwar's leadership matters in Gaza. Negotiators were not able to take decisions without him. Sinwar didn't use cell phones, only communicated directly through a handful of personal contacts and attendants. It made communications with him extraordinarily slow, extraordinarily difficult. The Israelis had thought that they had killed him several times before, or that he died, perhaps injured in another attack that they didn't even realize, because he would disappear for long periods. They believed that they saw him or saw evidence that he had been someplace when Israeli troops found the bodies of 6 hostages who'd been executed. That was in the Tel Sultan neighborhood in Rafah. It's an area that I've been to. I was taken there by the Israeli military. It is completely destroyed. There is not a single building standing. It looked like a ghost town. The only signs of life we saw there, except for the Israeli soldiers who were with us, were some stray animals that were climbing over the rubble. If he had managed to stay in that area, at that stage, he would have been with a very small group of people, indeed, likely trying to survive, because transport in and out of there was difficult. It was completely occupied by roving Israeli troops. So if, in fact, and there are some reports suggesting that he was, in fact, killed in that same neighborhood, it would suggest that he had limited ability to move, that his leadership role was coming to an end anyway, that the group was suffering a degree of division and fracture because of the ongoing assault. That is all of which is going to be much worse now if it's in fact confirmed that Sinwar is dead. It will be a blow to Hamas, a morale blow, a leadership blow, and obviously a big boost for Israel and for Prime Minister Netanyahu.
And so, Chris, if there is that big blow against Hamas, what possibilities, hope, can there be that Hamas can sit down on the negotiating table in Qatar or anywhere else and hammer out a ceasefire deal?
Well, I think the opportunity is open, but it really is dependent on who ascends to the leadership position. There are a few likely candidates, but one of them is Mohammed Sinwar, his brother, 13 years his junior, who is equally committed and arguably more violent in many ways. The concern about Yahya Sinwar was he really understood the value of holding hostages. And one of the reasons he wasn't ever likely going to turn them all back over, because the leverage that they provided, and they gave him the opportunity to maybe survive this war. His brother knows that just as well. His brother was the chief architect of taking Gilad Shalit back in 2006, which ultimately led to the release of Yahya Sinwar. So I think it all depends on who ascends to the throne of Hamas, who will then be also public enemy number one for Israel, and they'll start targeting that individual. But leadership does matter, as Richard talks about.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, Richard, I mean, the brother's there. We don't know who the other 2 people that were killed along with, if it is confirmed that it is Sinwar who was killed yesterday in this firefight, this battle that Aaron tells us was indeed very intense. What is the process for these organizations that are literally underground to come out and...
Literally underground is a surprising thing out of all of this. Most intelligence estimates that I had read or heard about suggested that one of the reasons that Sinwar was so difficult to reach, that he often dropped out of communications, is that he was hiding in tunnels and had gone to ground and was waiting for the war to escalate, that the war moving into Lebanon would draw forces away from Gaza, would split the Israeli military to a northern and southern front, and that would give him and Hamas more freedom to move and operate. That was the thinking on intelligence reports that I'd read. But the fact that he apparently was killed wearing, and the pictures I've seen, again, not confirmed, we'll wait till we get the official confirmation, but the pictures circulating online that do look like him shows him wearing a military-style jacket in a gunfight in a building above ground with apparently 2 other militants by his side, that suggests someone who was not a mastermind hiding in a bunker, but someone who was in the fight, in the later stages of a fight, engaging directly in gun battles, someone who had transitioned from leader to soldier to someone potentially fighting for his life.
And Chris, with every action comes reaction. It is the natural course of things, unfortunately, in this case. What do you see as the reaction, Chris?
I think one of the things that I would be concerned about is some action against some of the hostages to get some retribution. There is concern that the 6 hostages that were found just a few weeks ago, that they were deliberately killed to send a message. Because they are currency for Hamas. So they could be used in such a manner now, and so that would be a concern. I think the other issue is, a broader regional conflict, as Richard talked about, this did not have the effect that Hamas hoped that, if Israel broadened the war and went to the north and had to address some of the issues with Iran and the other surrogates in Yemen and Iraq, that it would give them some freedom of movement and some latitude to do more in Gaza. That hasn't happened. So what does Hamas do to try to regain some control and some leverage? Will they look to carry out some other kind of attack if they have it within their capabilities? I do think we'll know within the next few hours if this is Yahya Sinwar. Israel has all of his biometrics from his previous detention. They likely have the biometrics of the other 2 individuals that would have been with him when he was killed. So I think we'll know pretty quickly. And then they are likely doing rapid DNA as well, which will give you positive identification for sure.
Aaron McLaughlin, Richard Engel, and Christopher O'Leary, thank you so very much for being with us this morning. Stay with us as we have more confirmation, or not, of what an Israeli official tells NBC News is the very likely death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of the October 7th massacre in Israel. We're back in 90 seconds.
Honey?
But the gains are pumping.
Yeah, the market's closed.
Futures don't sleep in the after hours, bro.
Dad, is Mommy a finance bro?
She switched careers to make money for your weddings.
Ooh, penny stocks are blowing up. Sweetie, grab your piggy bank. We're going all in. Let me ask you, for your wedding, do you want a gazebo in a river?
What's a gazebo?
Something that your mother always wanted and never got.
Or you could give these different investment options a shot.
The right money moves aren't as aggressive as you think.
I'm keeping the best.
Our right to reproductive health care is being stolen from us.
I can't believe this is the world we live in, where we're losing the freedom to control our own bodies.
We need your support now more than ever. Go online, call, or scan this code with your $19 monthly gift, and we'll send you this Care No Matter What t-shirt.
It is your right to have safe health care. That's it.
Go online, call, or scan right now.
When my doctor gave me Breztri for my COPD, things changed for me. Breztri gave me better breathing, symptom improvement, and reduced flare-ups.
Breztri won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. It is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Don't take Breztri more than prescribed. Breztri may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling,